Hello Julian. At the moment WikiLeaks.org has an unusual appearance. The website is locked down in order to generate money. How did you decide in favor of this tough step?
In part, this is a desire for us to enforce self-discipline. It is for us a way to ensure that everyone who is involved stops normal work and actually spends time raising revenue. That's hard for us, because we promise our sources that we will do something about their situation.
So, you strike.
Yes, it's similar to what unions do when they go on strike. They remind people that their labor has value by withdrawing supply entirely. We give free and important information to the world every day. But when the supply is infinite in the sense that everyone is able to download what we publish, the perceived value starts to reduce down to zero. So by withdrawing supply and making our supply to zero, people start to once again perceive the value of what we're doing.
Do you urgently need money?
We have lots of very significant upcoming releases, significant in terms of bandwidth, but even more significant in terms of amount of labor they will require to process, and in terms of legal attacks we will get. So we need to be in a stronger position before we can publish the material.
In mainstream media as well as in non-commercial media there are two important questions. What does it cost? And how is it financed? Would you please first describe the cost side?
By far the biggest cost is people. That's also a cost that scales with operations. The more material we go through, the more the management and labor costs are. People need to write summaries of the material and see whether it's true or not. In the moment everyone is paying himself, but that can't last forever.
How big is the core team of WikiLeaks?
There are probably 5 people that do it 24 hours a day. And then there are 800 people who do it occasionally throughout the year. And in between there is a spectrum.
How do you and the other 4 guys who work full-time without salaries finance living costs?
I have made money in the internet. So I have enough money to do that, but also not forever. And the other 4 guys, in the moment they are also able to self-finance.
Was WikiLeaks your idea as many assumed?
I don't call myself a founder.
Nobody really knows about the founders, says Wikipedia.
Yes. This is simply because some of the people in the initial founding group are refugees from China and other places. And they still have family back in their home countries.
So at the moment the labor costs are still hypothetical, but the big costs that you really have to pay bills for are servers, office, etc.
On the bandwidth side, the backing is costly as well, when we get big spikes. Then there are registrations, bureaucracy, dealing with bank accounts and this sort of stuff. Because we're not in one location, it doesn't make sense for us to have headquarters. People have their own offices across the world.
What about cost for lawsuits?
We don't have to pay for our lawyers' time. Hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of lawyer time are being donated. But we still have to pay things like photocopying and court filing. And so far we have never lost a case. There were no penalties or compensations to pay.
So all in all, can you give figures about how much money WikiLeaks needs in 1 year?
Probably 200,000. That's with everyone paying themselves. But there are people who can't afford to continue being involved full-time unless they are paid. For that I would say maybe it's 600,000 a year.
Now let's talk about your revenues. Your only visible revenue stream is donations.
Private donations. We refuse government and corporate donations. In the moment most of the money comes from the journalists, the lawyers or the technologists who are personally involved. Only about 10% are from online donations. But that might increase.
At the bottom of the site is a list of your steadfast supporters, media organizations and companies like AP, Los Angeles Times or the National Newspaper Association. What do they do for you?
They give their lawyers, not cash.
Why do they help you? Probably not out of selflessness.
2 things. They see us as an organization that makes it easier for them to do what they do. But they also see us as the thin end of the wedge. We tackle the hardest publishing cases. And if we are defeated, maybe they will be next in line. In other words, if WikiLeaks.org goes down as a result of legal action, the same precedents can be used to take down nighttimes.com the next day or the German Spiegel online.
My explanation was that maybe they do it because they know that what you do is actually their job, but they don't have the money to do it.
Maybe. The cost per word in investigative journalism is high. We make it a little bit cheaper for them. If you can bring these costs per word down, you can get more words of investigative journalism, and publish even in a company that wants to maximize profit, because we do some of the expensive sourcing. And there is another really big cost, namely the threat of legal action. We take the most legally difficult part, which is not the story, but usually the backing documents. As a result, there is less chance of legal action against the publisher. So we help them to bring their costs per word in investigative journalism down.